What's good, y'all? It's your boy HB with Final Round of Drive Time Boxing. I want to talk about the results of Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. First out, shout out to Poirier, man. I think he performed excellent, man. Even though there's an asterisk there, well, some people are putting an asterisk there because Conor broke his ankle or his shin bone, whatever it was. I didn't see the report. And, I'm sure there's people making excuses saying, well, the fight could have went differently if he never sustained that injury. But I mean, that's not the case, man. I'm sorry. Dustin Poirier was going to win that fight. He was owning Conor McGregor. He took him to the ground. Conor McGregor looked gassed already. The look on his face looked like, damn, here I am again struggling, and it just looked like he couldn't figure it out. And I was so disappointed in the way he handled that loss. McGregor did. He just very unprofessional. He showed his ass. He didn't act classy at all, especially towards a guy who's a pretty cool dude, man. Dustin Poirier seems like a pretty solid guy, man. And he did not deserve all that shit talk that Conor McGregor was saying. Everything before the fight, fine, fair game. You're trying to get in your opponent's head. But after that, man, it was just very classless. And karma's a bitch for Conor McGregor. And look, this is coming from somebody who was a huge fan of McGregor. But McGregor wasn't winning that fight. Even if he never got injured, he wasn't winning that fight. I think he gets fucked up, and he probably gets TKO'd or takes a lot of brain damage if he survives that first round and he never gets injured. But I also think that break probably did result from one of the checks that Dustin Poirier executed when Conor McGregor kicked him. I wouldn't be surprised if it also came from micro fractures from Conor McGregor probably trying to overcompensate and train his kicks, right? I even saw videos before the fight. He was putting a lot of emphasis on his kicks. Then on top of that, he gets checked in the fight. And I think he even gets kicked by Dustin Poirier. And, he's worn down. He's fatigued, taken to the ground, beaten up. He gets back up. And, it gives out on him. And, part of the reason I thought Dustin Poirier was going to win because it was kind of obvious that Conor McGregor was going to come in trying to overcompensate for those leg kicks, right? Whether it be checking them or throwing his own kicks. And when you're going to overcompensate like that, it kind of gives your opponent an insight to what you're going to do or what you might try to defend. And it was very obvious, and I knew it was going to be very predictable that Conor McGregor was going to go in that fight trying to overcompensate for what happened last time. And Dustin Poirier knew in his head, like, hey, he's probably going to try to do some calf kicks to me, do some leg kicks. I better be ready to check and counter that. And he did it. He did it masterfully. And this is, like I said, this is the end for Conor McGregor. And does he have some fights available to him? Yes, but pursuing the title as a UFC champion again, trying to become a UFC champion again, I think that's dead and gone. There's nothing left for him to pursue a title in the UFC anymore. I don't see him competing with the top 5 best fighters in his division, let alone maybe the top 10. I don't even know if he can compete with them. And then on top of that, having this very devastating injury, it's going to be hard to recover. You got to catch up just to where you were after you recovered to that injury. Your cardio, Conor McGregor's cardio is shit as it is, and he's going to completely lose all that, trying to recover from this injury. And then he's going to have to he's just going to have to build back up to where he was, which wasn't that great. And don't get me wrong, there are some fights out there for him. He can do a rematch with Dustin Poirier, but he's going to get his ass whooped again. I don't think that's a good idea. He could go up against Nate Diaz, which is a more feasible fight to take, right? But that's a dangerous fight too. He's not guaranteed to win it, especially recovering from this injury. And then, I think there is the fight with Jake Paul. But that's even dangerous in itself. If Jake Paul can go in there and beat Tyrone Woodley or at least survive in the scorecards, I mean, I don't know if Conor McGregor, that's an easy fight for Conor McGregor as in a boxing ring. I really don't. In fact, it might be a very dangerous fight considering Jake Paul's fairly decent, probably fairly decent boxer. Is a lot bigger, has heavy hands, and you know, considering Conor's performance against Mayweather, I didn't see somebody who was all that great at boxing. So these are dangerous. All these are, they're feasible because there is a chance he could win. Dustin Poirier, least likely. Nate Diaz would come up next, and then Jake Paul. But I mean, if I'm him, retire, man. I don't want to remember you for this. If anything, take a fight with Nate Diaz or something. I think that's your best shot at winning. Nate Diaz is on the back end of his career, and you know, he's a notable guy, and at least you can go out, you know, possibly with a W. But even then, man, why keep fighting for what? More money? You should be set. I mean, hopefully he's invested his money well to where he doesn't have to fight anymore. I'm sure he's made a considerable amount, but I mean, the only reason he should be fighting is for money. And that understandable, right? If you can go in there in the octagon or the ring and fucking make millions of dollars in 5 rounds or however many rounds, or 3 rounds, go for it. But at this point, you're really fucking with your legacy. You did something very special when you first came in the UFC. You know, you dominated. You took the world by storm. And I want to remember Conor McGregor for that. Not him on the ground talking about Dustin Poirier's wife with a broken leg and him getting his ass whooped. I don't want to remember that shit, man. And at a certain degree, you still have a brand. It's still there. You know, it's really, it's almost tainted right now because of the way he handled himself at the end of this fight. But he still can preserve his brand, and you can keep that for the rest of your life, man, and profit off of that. But if you keep taking these fights and losing, man, you're going to become a clown, a complete clown and a joke, and nobody's going to remember that run, that spectacular, magical run that he had. And, you know, at some point, people are going to completely forget it and say, oh, it was just like kind of, you know, he just had a good hand for a little bit and it worked out. But the more he loses, the more he takes these fights, and especially if he loses to Jake Paul, his legacy will be completely tarnished. And it's almost tarnished right now. That's why I think he should get out. But I mean, if he's thinking, hey, I want to make more money, stack as many millions up as I can for my family, then fair enough. That, you know, if you're willing to put your legacy on the line to make more money, I get that, right? I get that. It's hard to pass down millions of dollars, and fighting for the love of it, man. I mean, that helps, but if he's just fighting for the love of the game, I mean, why, dude? You're gonna take a lot of punishment. You know, these UFC fighters are killers, and you know, why take more brain damage? Why have more injuries, right? Why become a vegetable eventually, or a shell of yourself because you keep on taking these fights? I mean, dude, it's, let it go. And if you really had the fire, I don't think he would be performing the way he has been for the last few fights. If he really had, I mean, he said it himself, I'm a fat cat, I'm not a hungry cat anymore. That's a dead giveaway that you're not passionate about the sport anymore. And if you're not passionate about the sport, get the fuck out, man, because you're going to get severely injured to where you can't return. And your brand is already dangling on a limb, right? Like literally and figuratively, right? But I think he should retire, man. I think he should retire. If he's going to take one more, I'll go Nate Diaz, Jake Paul, Dustin Poirier, man. He's on his game, man. He's on his game, and he's not gonna lose to Conor McGregor. He's just gonna keep getting fucked up if he keeps on taking that match. So this is it, man. This is it for McGregor. I think he should retire. That would be my best advice to him. At least there's a little bit of leniency for him in the fact that his ankle and his leg broke. To where he can kind of say, hey, I couldn't win this because my leg gave out on me. And, you know, let's remember, I want to remember him for his greatness because he was spectacular. But at this point, he's really shitting on his legacy. and I didn't get the way he handled the loss. I understand it's hard, man. I understand it's very, very hard to come to grips with being so high. You know, like I'm sure this is what Mike Tyson experienced, but you know, it's hard to be on top at your pinnacle and ruling the world to, you know, now you completely fallen off. You know, unfortunately, that's the story of a lot of great fighters, but I just think he needs to be done. And congrats to Dustin Poirier, man. It's going to be a hell of a title fight. Well, Oliveira. I'm really a fan of Dustin now, and I hope he gets that title win, man. But there's nothing left for Conor, man, except for money. That's pretty much it. But how much more are you willing to put your health on the line? How much more are you willing to put your legacy on the line and your brand overall in the long run? Because I mean, if you keep taking L's and you keep acting like a clown and you don't back it up, now people not even gonna buy into your brand, because there is a life after fighting eventually. You can't fight forever. You have to think, being a businessman, an entrepreneur, sort of like Mayweather. You know, he's thinking, yeah, he's taking these fights, but he knows he can win them, and he, you know, against these kind of freak show events. And on top of that, Mayweather, he's got boxing gyms opening up. You know, he's investing in nice cars, nice jewelry. He's doing it in a way, he's protecting his brand. And that's, McGregor's not protecting his brand right now outside of the ring. You can't fight forever. You can't play any sport forever, with the exception of maybe golf. And even that, you can't do it at the highest level as you age. So, man, crazy night, crazy result. But this was as expected. I mean, the magic is gone. You can hear it in the press conference. Conor McGregor is not the same dude he used to be. And even when he was talking shit, it seemed like it was coming from an empty place, you know, with no substance. Seemed desperate. And he sounded desperate at the end of that fight. And I do feel for him, because he's human. At the end of the day, I think anybody in that position, a lot of people would handle it the same way. But you know, we have high expectations for this dude, and he's got to conduct himself better, man. And he has a beautiful fucking family, man. Enjoy it. Enjoy that life, man. You worked hard for it. You earned it. Enjoy the afterlife, man. Go into commentating, you know, start some businesses, be an entrepreneur, build a brand outside of fighting, man. And if you're going to stay in the world of fighting, you know, you can always commentate, be a trainer, a coach, you know, build a gym. There's other things to do, man. But at this point, I'm scared for the dude. I'm scared for him. I'm scared that he's going to go into a deep dive. And it's hard to get out. I mean, we've seen Mike Tyson and kind of George Foreman pull himself out. George Foreman, not as much, because he wasn't, you know, a bad dude overall, but just his loss to Ali, he went kind of in a plummet, and then he redeemed himself. But, you know, this is kind of reminiscent of Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson did redeem himself, but you know, McGregor is in this game, this MMA game, man, it's relentless, and it's a little bit harder on you than I would say. I'm not gonna say, I mean, at the end of the day, boxing and MMA, they're both violent, and you know, you're gonna take your punishment, whether it's brain damage or just overall damage to your body. But Conor McGregor has a beautiful family, man. He needs to retire, enjoy his family, build his brand outside the ring. And if you're going to stay involved in fighting, man, then, you know, get involved another way, not literally fighting. And, you know, if you are going to take another fight, man, make sure it's a big payday, and you know, pick the best opponent, whether it be boxing and MMA, to give yourself the best chance of getting out on top with the W. Not even so much on top, but just getting out with a W. It's your boy AGB. We'll find around. Get at me. Subscribe, please. Don't put a thumbs down. Don't give negative energy, man. We got enough of that shit around the world. But like the video, subscribe, comment. I want to know what you think. Did you think Conor McGregor could have won the fight? Do you think he should retire? Do you think he should take another fight? Do you think he can go on another title run? Let me know what you think, man. I love fighting. I love talking fighting. And subscribe. Let's do it, baby. I'm trying to build my own brand myself, build it from the ground up. But until another one, peace and love. Stay safe. One.